Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of coins and precious metals. I've been slowly but surely counting through my silver stack, and today we're going through quarters. But before that, I actually took advantage of an opportunity yesterday that I'd like to tell you about. If you've been following my channel for a while, one thing you know I like to do is follow the gold to silver ratio. So I picked these up yesterday after selling 26 American Silver Eagles because of the jump in silver price that dropped the gold to silver ratio significantly. First off, I got this 1/10 ounce Canadian maple to add to my 1/10 ounce gold typeset collection. If you look closely, there's actually a privy mark right there under the maple leaf, so we're going to have to crack this open to take a closer look at that. In addition, I did end up picking up a old British sovereign. This has Queen Victoria on it, and this is actually from 1858. Let's take a close look. There you can see the date, 1858, and Queen Victoria. On the reverse, we actually have the classic shield design. The St. George slaying the dragon didn't actually become standard issue on the sovereigns until 1871. So this one being from 1858 is clearly before that. So this was the standard issue of the sovereigns at the time. Well, let's get into the video. Before we get into the video, let's take a moment for a quick shout out for Emmanuel. He was the first to comment on my video yesterday. Thank you so much for your support, Emmanuel. It really does mean a lot to me. If you would like to be shouted out in the next video, race down to those comments and be the first to comment, and I'll make sure to shout you out on the video tomorrow. Let's go ahead and crack open this 1/10 ounce maple. I like to store all my fractional coins in similarly sized airtight capsules. I am going to be keeping this assay card. It looks like from my research online that this is the original packaging that this was put out in. So this Canadian maple happens to be from 1997 and does have a privy on it. We're going to take a closer look once I get it in the capsule. But this is actually a special minted 1/10 ounce coin that comes in a reverse proof and was actually made for Dylan Gage, which is very interesting. That's actually a huge wholesaler in my area. And this actually had a limited mintage of only 100,000 coins. So I'm not sure if this has any more premium than a regular 1/10 ounce maple at this point. However, if it does, it would... Oh, wait, let's hear this capsule. That's the sound of protection for my gold coins, and I love it. Anyway, as I was saying, if it does have an extra premium, look, here's that privy right there. It's a family holding hands. Super cute. If it does hold a little bit of premium, it'll definitely maintain more of that premium if I'm able to get it back into the original packaging. So I'm definitely going to be holding on to that. I'll even set it aside and keep it stored with my gold so that I know that it is associated with this coin. So now I have one more coin in my 1/10 ounce typeset. So that makes for 7 coins in that bit of a set that I'm creating. And overall, that means that I'm up to 10 1/10 ounce coins, or 1 full ounce in the 1/10 ounce sizes. So I'm super excited to add this to my collection, and I'm just going to keep growing this 1/10 ounce collection as time goes on. Next up, I'm actually going to swap out this 1/4 ounce American Gold Eagle to provide a capsule for my new British Sovereign. The British Sovereign is quite a lot older and probably has a little bit more numismatic value than this just modern 1/4 ounce Eagle. So I really do want to protect this as much as I can, and we'll get this right into the capsule here. Let's take a closer look while we have it out of the capsule here. You can really see how beautiful this coin is. It's 1858. And the shield reverse right there. It does flip like an American coin, so that threw me off at first. But look at that shield. Absolutely beautiful. Great design and a whole lot of detail in this coin here. And of course, we'll stop to hear that capsule sound again. All right, gotta love it. let's go ahead and get this gold set aside so we can finally start talking about some silver quarters. And I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through all this so we can just finally get to our topic today. I was definitely tempted to make this just about the gold that I picked up, but I made a promise to start counting through all my silver, so let's get through the quarters. We will start with the albums that I put together. This here is for my Barber series, and it's actually the only Danceco album that I have. I would love to upgrade to Danceco at some point, but these do get pretty expensive. So I'm just going to flip through here so you can see the coins that I have, and I will include them in the total at the end. I'm not going to go through each date because that is a whole other video for another time. So for the case of just counting all of my silver, what I'm going to do is just assume all the quarters are made to the standard weight of $1.40 being equal to 1 troy ounce. So I covered this math a whole lot in my dime time video from yesterday. If you haven't seen it, please go back there. I cover all kinds of information about the weight and wear on a coin, so please check that out. I'm not going to repeat all of that information, but if I could summarize it very quickly, it's that the industry standard is $1.40 of face value is needed in order to make 1 ounce of silver. So that means that a dime is considered 1/14 of an ounce, which means a quarter, 2.5 times the size of a dime, would be most accurately represented by the fraction of 5/28. And the way we end up with this number is that they were originally minted to be 6.25 grams of 90% silver. And when we assume a little bit of wear, the average amount of wear on a quarter would take it down to exactly 6.17 grams. If you find a coin that is 6.17 grams, then that is exactly the fraction of 5/28 of an ounce. I am going pretty quick through these books, but I hope you noticed in my Washington series, at least for the circulated coins, the non-proof ones, I'm only missing 1 quarter before 1964. And that is actually the 1932 Denver, and I do have the 1932 San Francisco. All of these coins were cherry-picked out of a coin shop, and I paid only spot for every single one. So I'm absolutely grateful to have the opportunity to go through all kinds of coins at my coin shop and pick out the dates that I need to fill my book. Here I have a whole separate book that I've designated for proof strikes, and I'm pointing out here, this is a 40% silver coin. We're going to keep all 40% for another video because that just messes with the math, and we'll just handle that another time. And here in the next book, I have actually started collecting the more modern proofs. I was actually lucky enough to be on Whatnot buying some coins, and they were running these silver proofs, and they didn't realize they were silver. So I bought all of these on this page here for $1 a piece. Deals out there like this do exist, so make sure you stay vigilant and pay attention to what is going on around you. And speaking of Whatnot, I actually did win a giveaway, and that's how I ended up with this reverse proof graded, I think it's a PF69. I'm not too into the modern graded coins, but for some free silver, I will definitely take it. And I really do like how this reverse proof looks. It's getting all fogged up. Let's take it out of the bag here. I love the look of the reverse proof with the frosted fields and the mirror finish on the devices. It looks really, really good, especially in this America the Beautiful series. They really did a good job on these coins. They're absolutely beautiful. I might start focusing more on these later in my collections, but right now I'm just trying to stack, so I'm trying to stay away from anything that might have a high premium. Not that these do, but I don't want to be paying any extra or taking my mind away from my current goals. So maybe in the future we'll end up with more of those, but let's just start stacking up these quarters. So we're going to go ahead and stack these up, but I want to tell you that I personally enjoy stacking quarters in groups of 14. And the reason that is that while $1.40 makes 1 ounce of silver, it actually means that $2.50 or 14 quarters makes exactly 2.5 ounces of silver. So that's $3.50 making 2.5 ounces of silver. And that's actually an amount of face value that you can create using any of the denominations. Simply 35 dimes, 14 quarters, or 7 half dollars. So in this way, this makes possible math in any denomination where you can group them in $3.50 face value rather than trying to force a $1.40 value, which is actually not possible if you're only counting quarters or half dollars. And for that exact reason, that's what makes dimes so very useful in junk silver. I mostly stack dimes and quarters when it comes to 90%. And this is because I believe that if I am going to actually start spending these 90% coins, I'm going to need the divisibility that comes with the quarters. A lot of people talk about how amazing the divisibility is on the dimes. However, for dimes, you're stuck to the 1/14th of an ounce fraction. You can only break it down to 14ths. We just mentioned that a quarter is 5/28ths of an ounce. So you end up with a larger denominator in that fraction, which allows you to divide it up into even more increments as you move up in value. For example, if I wanted to make 45 cents of face value, I would not be able to make that unless I had a quarter. I could try to with dimes, but I'd have to cut one in half, and I definitely wouldn't be able to make 45 cents with a half dollar. So that's why quarters are absolutely necessary, as well as dimes. Taking that logic into account, there's really no reason to stack half dollars. However, I will be adding a lot more half dollars to my stack in the near future. I realize I actually don't really have much of any. So when I do eventually go through the half dollars, it's probably going to be a pretty quick video. I also understand why people don't really like buying quarters all that much. Really, the only design that is readily available at coin shops is the Washington design, and they just look too much like modern quarters. So I do understand that it makes buying quarters a lot less exciting than, say, buying dimes or half dollars. But overall, I believe that if you're purely stacking, then the emotion should be taken aside anyway. You shouldn't be only getting things that you really enjoy to stack, because then you will really not enjoy selling it if that ever comes up. I'm just picking through this box of stuff that used to be laying on my desk. I know I have a lot of quarters in here, so once I do get to them, we'll add these to the stack. And as for a lot of these older coins, they're actually not going to be in my videos right now. I do have one quarter in here that's from 1853. However, there was a coinage act in 1873 that changed the amount of silver that is in $1 of face value. So right now I'm only counting quarters, or really dimes and half dollars, for my main stack that were made after that coinage act in 1873. So that coinage act defined that a dollar was made by 25 grams of 90% silver. Before that, it was a different number, so there was a different amount of silver. Yep, here it is, this 1853. Beautiful, beautiful coin. And it was actually the only year to have these rays around this eagle. But this is actually less silver than what is in these Washington quarters, the Barber quarters, and the Standing Liberty series. So this one right here is a seated Liberty, but it's after 1873, so that is a good one. We'll go ahead and count that one into our stack. I also have all these Barbers that are just extra years that couldn't go in my book, so we'll go ahead and count those as well. And we can actually make a little bit of a typeset just like we did yesterday. So I have the seated Liberty design, the Barber design. There are 2 Standing Liberties, and of course the Washington. And here we can add this 1853 seated Liberty. It's so amazing to see some coins that, this one's over 175 years old. But now that we've counted through my entire stack of quarters, I can tell you I have 383 quarters, which if we assume averages out to a weight of 5/28 ounces, actually ends up totaling to 68.39 ounces of silver, which brings my running total to 407.44 ounces, which means after yesterday's dramatic spike in silver price, we are significantly closer to the amount of value that I had in gold. Once this project of counting up my gold is complete, I will share exactly what my portfolio split is and where I would like it to be. For now, if you have something to add or share about this video, please let me know in the comments. While you're down there, make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you like my content, please subscribe. Wow, skidub. Anyway, please subscribe. But most of all, thank you for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how little, even if it's just 1/4, just keep stacking.